Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing my full coverage flawless foundation routine. Let me know if you like it down in the comments below, and don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you do, and subscribe, and if you want to see how we got this makeup look, then keep watching. I've just quickly done my eye makeup. I thought it would be easier to do it before, and all my stuff was out on my desk anyway, so I've just done it really quickly. And because it's going to be more of a full coverage makeup look, it's definitely more of a nighttime look, which is why I've gone for a darker eye. When I want a makeup look which is going to last all night and look flawless and be really full coverage and cover all your imperfections, this is the routine that I usually go for. And I've got nothing on my face at the moment. I just moisturised this morning with the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. Because I've got quite dry skin, I can honestly in the daytime not bother with the primer, and my foundation will look the same from morning till night. But if I want something a little bit more, I'll always use the Benefit Professional. I do have a small amount of pores just around the cheek area at the top. This definitely minimises my pores, even though I haven't got that many. I definitely notice a difference, and it just makes my makeup look so flawless on my face, and it just gives a really nice canvas to start with. So when I apply it, I'm really pushing it into the skin so it fills in all the pores and any fine lines as well. Now with primed, the one thing that I'll do before applying foundation is to colour correct, and I don't do this very often, but I will if I want my makeup to look extra perfect. And I don't know whether you can tell in the camera or not, but I do have a lot of redness in my face, especially around my cheeks and my chin area. So I do like to colour correct them before applying foundation, because I find I don't have to use as much then to get the best coverage. So to colour correct, I always use this palette here, and it's the Makeup Forever Camouflage palette. And I'll go in with this green shade here because that counteracts redness. And it's the only colour correcting really that I find I need to do, so I only just stick to green. And I just literally take some on my finger and just dab it on. I'm not usually very neat with it or anything like that. And I don't use a really heavy amount either. I don't really find that I need to. If you do suffer with redness, you can also get primers as well, which are green, and they'll counteract the redness as well, but to be honest, I just find this works a lot better. Okay, now we're moving on to foundation, and my favourite products to use for an extra full coverage look is first the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and then I also like to mix a couple of drops of the Cover FX Custom Cover Drop. This on its own is beautiful and I really do love the coverage, but if I do want something a little bit extra, I'll just add a couple of these in, because these are very, very pigmented, so you only need at least 2 or 3 drops and that is it, and this will just add a lot of extra pigment into your foundation. So to apply my foundation, you guys will know by now I always use a beauty blender, or you could use any beauty sponge. And the reason why I like that is because I feel like I'm pressing it into my skin, and I feel like I get the most coverage and the most flawless finish. So when I start to apply my foundation, I'll always start in the centre and work my way outwards. Because I need more coverage in the centre, I know I want most of the product there, and then I can blend it outwards where I don't need as much. So I always start here, because right in this area is always where I need the most product. And you'll see as well when I start to really blend it out, the green underneath will just be vanished. You won't be able to see it at all. And I'll always finish by blending down onto my neck as well. Okay, so foundation is done, and I feel like my redness has completely gone. And now is the time that I'll go and conceal any areas which I feel need more coverage, like if I need to cover any blemishes or anything like that. And I only have a couple around my nose and my chin that I think I need to cover. So what I'll go in and use... Why do I always drop everything? And what is important when you are concealing blemishes is that you need to use the same concealer colour as your foundation, that way it will hide it. If you start using a concealer, maybe which you use to highlight with under the eyes, it just won't work because it'll show up even more. So I'm just gonna mix a few of these shades in here to get the same colour as my foundation, and then I'll just go in and conceal those blemishes. I'll either use my finger to apply it or just a small pinpointing brush like this. Now we can move on to under eye concealer and highlighter and all that stuff. I'm going to use the Urban Decay Naked Concealers today. I do really love the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, I use that quite often as well. But because my eyes are quite dry at the moment because of stupid hay fever, I'm going to use these because I find them a little bit more comfortable. I'm going to use the shade Light Medium Neutral and I'm going to mix it with Light Warm. I'm going to use more of the lighter one. I like to use this darker one first, not only because the lighter one is a little bit light to use on its own, but because I find that this covers my dark circles a little bit better first. This is also going to act as our highlighter as well, so we want to place this everywhere that we want to pop forward. So now all that's blended, what I'll do next is check my brows. If I've done them first, I'll always get product on them no matter what, and it's always hard to blend with the Beauty Blender right next to the eyebrow and make sure it's all blended and stuff. So what I'll do first is just take a small brush like this. You could use like an angled brush or something, and I'll just go around the edge of the brow and just make sure that all the concealer and foundation is blended. And then whatever I've used on my brows today, I've used the Dip Brow and the Brow Wiz. I'll just quickly go over them again and make sure that there's no product on them. Now before contouring or anything like that, I like to set my concealer first so that doesn't start creasing, because my under eyes do get a creasy mess. So I'm going to take the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I'll take quite a generous amount and I'll just pack it on. This translucent powder is just my absolute favourite. I think it really does just make your foundation look absolutely flawless. So I'm not quite sure if you would actually call this baking, because I only leave this on for a couple of seconds because my skin is quite dry. So I'll just take a fluffy brush now and start dusting any of the excess away. Now I'm going to do a little bit of cream contouring, and I'm going to use this palette by L'Oreal. It's the Infallible Sculpt Highlighting and Contour Palette, and I picked up the shade Light Medium. I'm just going to take some of the contour shade. I'm not too keen on the highlight shade. It's not very pigmented, so I'm going to try the contour shade today and see how that works out. I'm going to use this little buffing brush. It's the contour brush from Real Techniques, and make the stupid face. And I'm just going to start buffing from the top of my ear down towards my mouth. If you look straight on in a mirror, you'll be able to see the natural shadow that occurs as well, so that does help you out when you're contouring, I think. When you're contouring as well, you always want most product to be at the top. And I also like to blend mine around towards the temple a little bit. And just along the top of the forehead here. Now to to set the contour and help that blend out a little bit more, I'm going to use the Benefit Hoola bronzer. And I just like to give it a good swirl and a tap. And as I'm blending upwards onto the cheeks as well to start warming up the face. To sharpen up the contour a little bit more, I'm going to use some of the translucent powder we used earlier. And I just want to set underneath here. And then I like to just let that sit there for a couple of minutes again before I buff it off. I'm just using this blush brush. That definitely looks a lot more sharper now, so I'm going to start going in and warming the face, and for that I'd like to use the MAC's Give Me Sun bronzer. I did recently get the Bourjois bronzer, which I think is a similar colour to this, but it's just not as pigmented, so I'm going to use this today. So when we apply bronzer, we want this to warm up the face, so we would apply this everywhere that the sun would naturally hit. That's why I like to use the Benefit Hoola in between, because I feel like it just helps blend everything together. Moving on to blush, and the blush that I've been using all the time at the moment is from this Sleek palette in the shade Lace. And this light orange shade here, I love the colour of this at the moment. And these are so pigmented as well, they're absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to smile, and I'm going to apply it onto the apples of my cheeks and blend it back. And I also like to give a really small dusting just across the top of the nose. Okay, so the final step to my full coverage and flawless foundation routine is highlighter, and it's possibly my favourite part. I'm such a highlight junkie, and I probably always wear too much, but I don't care. At the moment I'm using two different ones, so I'm going to show you how I do mine today. The first one that I like to go in with is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Soft and Gentle. So I first take that on the Morphe M501 brush, and I'll start to apply this everywhere that the sun would naturally hit. And I also like to blend a bit down to the apple of my cheeks as well. And I'll go the top of my brow just here and blend any excess around the temple to meet this part. I also like to take some of that underneath the brow as well, across the cupid's bow, and on my finger just down the centre of my nose, concentrating on the tip of my nose. Okay, now I'm moving on to the Becca Champagne Pop, and this is my absolute all-time favourite highlighter. I think I've used it in near enough every video. And what I like to do now is spray the areas which I've highlighted, and then as that's drying, I'll apply the Champagne Pop on top of the one that I've already applied. So I'll do one side first. And then as that's nearly dried, I'll take some of the Champagne Pop and I'll just place this on the very top high points. And I like to do it this way because if I apply a lot of highlight, it always accentuates my pores and makes them look massive. but if I do this they just don't show at all and you still get a really strong highlight. Okay, so I'm just going to top up the under eye makeup real quick and apply some lipstick, and I'll be back in one sec. So that completes my full coverage flawless foundation routine. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if this helped you out down in the comments below, and don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe, and I'll see you soon guys. Bye!